Welcome to Give Me Hope with your host and author, Johanna Vendel. Come join the conversation as Johanna focuses on sharing impactful personal narratives of loss. Her platform provides a safe space for individuals to express themselves, find comfort, and build connections as they navigate their grief journey. So now, please welcome the host of Give Me Hope, Johanna Vendel.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Give Me Hope with Johanna on this beautiful day. Today, we have Dawn in studio, who will tell us all about herself. So I'm not going to take up time. I'm going to introduce Dawn, and she will tell you more about herself. Good day, Dawn, and how are you today?
I'm wonderful, busy.
It sounds like you are busy, from everything I see on Facebook and everything you do. You're also an author. Do you get time for writing? Tell us a little more about yourself.
Writing is kind of like I have to make time for it, but I absolutely love it. Obviously, I work full time and I'm a full-time mom. So, like I said, I love to write. My book is called The Divine. That is what my passion is writing. And, I wanted to go really far with it. So what I did is, entered into the International Impact Book Awards, and I won in my category.
Category did you sign it into?
The thriller and mystery, the paranormal category.
Oh.
So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was fun to write too. So
wow. A little bit of background. What do you do? And tell us more about who you are.
So like I said, right now I'm a sales manager, and I've done real estate. I've done, commercial real estate, student housing, property management. So I've kind of done that most of my life.
Wow, yeah. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us more about your book that you have written and what inspired you to become an author?
I started out and I wrote poetry. That was my first, getting into the author field. And then I wrote my first book, and then I had it published. I was so excited. I was like, this is really fun. And then one day I was at my house and I started, just this idea came over me to write a children's book. And the name of the book is Miracle and Friends. And when I wrote that, the whole idea behind it was to give children in hospitals hope, and maybe that little bit of needed hope that when they're sitting in the hospital and they're not sure if they're going to make it, or maybe they're in pain, and this just kind of relieves it for them because the book is about children outside playing, and Miracle is a girl with no hair. So the whole idea behind it was to have them look at her and say, if she can play with her best friend Johnny, so can I, and I can get better, and I can defeat this and have a normal childhood. And that was the start of my whole really intense writing journey, because that was my motivation. And I didn't sell a ton of copies with Miracle and Friends. And so I prayed about it. And I said, God, I really want to sell a lot of copies. I really want to get these out there to children's hospitals, because all the donations that I have done have come from me personally buying them and sending them to different hospitals. So I said, I need to write something a little more, something that's never been done before, something that is going to captivate an audience at a larger scale and put me in front of the people that I need to be in front of in order to execute this. I want to say it's like a mass, I want to send children's books all over the United States, but I also wanted to do something that has never been done before. So that is where The Divine came in. And I was sitting at my house and
before you tell us more about the
Okay, yeah.
design, let me ask you a question
Sure.
about your first book.
Mhm.
What year did you write that book in?
Oh, it was either 22 or 23, I believe. It was, yeah, my first, the poetry book or the children's book.
The children's book.
Oh, that was in 2023. Because
Oh,
immediately, I believe it was 2023, but immediately after that is when I had prayed. Because I didn't sell, like I said, I didn't sell a lot of copies. So, but my purpose was still there
mm,
to get it to children's hospitals all over the United States. And I want to say right now, it's at least 19, 20 hospitals and I think like 9 different states, but I can only do so many hospitals in each state. So my goal
What
is to
in,
have them everywhere.
what inspired you to write a story about a little girl who, I take it she's got cancer?
No,
That's why
so
she
she's
doesn't have hair?
no.
Oh,
So she's a princess who was born
oh,
with no hair. So I didn't want when I have children read this, I didn't want them to feel like they had a condition, if that makes sense.
okay.
Like I wanted them to see like, oh, she was born with no hair. She was different, but all the kids wanted to be like her. All the kids wanted to, and she went outside and she played and she had fun, and her best friend Johnny had no hair, and all the kids wanted to be like them. And so it gave them a different perspective, not so much that being different is a bad thing. Does that make sense? Like, I wanted when kids read it, I wanted them to feel in their heart that it was okay to be themselves, and
Yes,
that and to that it's that they can get better, and
yes.
that it is possible for me to go and play like
So,
Miracle and Johnny.
okay. So, before you wrote the book, something must have inspired you to do a story like this.
I
Anything that you can think of that inspired you to think about writing this
Yes,
specific book?
yes.
Because something
So
must have happened that
yes.
inspired you, I would say.
Exactly. So I kept seeing these St. Jude commercials.
Inspired by St. Jude ads, I wrote a book to give hope to
And I
children.
had a son. So I kept seeing these commercials and it just broke my heart. Because as a parent, you know how it's like when kids get sick and you're worried to death. But these families, they don't just worry. They don't know if their child is going to live.
Mm,
So if I could give back, I said, God, what can I do to give back to these families going through this? And I was raised to believe that love is like the most powerful force in all things. And
mm.
so a kid, you can buy them a ton of stuff, but at the end of the day, what do they remember? And so my idea behind that's when I kind of wanted to make a difference, because I started with St. Jude's and I started donating, and it felt really good to do that, but I felt like there was more that I could do, and
Mm.
I didn't know what it was. And so when I was in my house that day, like I said, something just came over my head. I was just like, "Oh my God, that's a great idea. Why not give children hope by writing a book that gives them that?" And then I prayed over it after I got through writing it, and I said, "God, I want every ounce of love and intention
Mm.
is in this book, and when I send it to these hospitals, that's what I want these children to feel."
To feel,
And
wow.
so, yeah, yeah. And
And
so,
your poems that you started to write earlier, did you
uh-huh.
actually put that into a book as well, or did you just
Yes,
write it?
yes,
Oh, you did?
I did. And it's a poetry book. It's called Love Transcends. And every line of poetry in there is positivity. And it is so easy to write about negative stuff. But if you have ever tried to write a poem or 100 pages of poems that are about positive and uplifting things, you really have to pull, you really have
Yes,
to
that
pull that,
definitely wants to be done, because I can't even think of one poem.
that I wanted people to see the positive side of life. And like I said, and at the same time that I was writing that, I was also donating to St. Jude's.
Wow.
So when I got done with the book, I was like, like I said, I was walking through my house and I was like, this thought just came over me: write a book and let that help children in a way that money can't. And
Yes.
not that money isn't good. Obviously, they need the money to do the procedures and things like that. But this was every ounce of love and intention. And so that meant a lot to me to be able to get it out there. But the reality and the truth is that not a lot of people bought that book. And so I said, okay, well, you don't have to buy it because I'm going to donate them. So, but I wanted to do it on a large scale, like not just a few hospitals within a state, but like hospitals all over the United States, all over the world. I want to say it's on Ingram Spark as well, where it can be sold globally. I'll have to double check that, but that was like the real start of my passion for writing, I would say.
Wow. Wow. And then after your children's book,
Mhm.
you what inspired you to write the next book?
So again, that kind of tied in with the children's book because I had prayed. I said, God, I'm not selling a ton of copies, but I want to do good for humanity. I guess that's a better word for it. And so I said, but I need something different, something that's no one's ever done. I need it to captivate. I need it to be scary and fun. And I just wanted something that nobody ever has done before. And it's funny because when I started like writing it, I'm like, you know what? My grandmother was a huge part of me growing up. And so I used like her character in the story because I was able to put that emotion with that character of love. And so she is a spirit guide in the story. And she is like the good within Cora, the main character, that guides her through like ghosts and visions and things like that.
Wow. Do you want to
So,
tell us a little bit more about this book? Because it
oh
sounds so
yeah. Oh
intriguing.
yeah. So, okay, so, and I get excited about this book because this was very fun to write. So it actually is a 3-book series. So there, you have a few different characters. I'm gonna try not to give it all away,
Yeah.
but what you will see, you have your spirit guides, vampires, shadow men, powers of the universe, portals, Jack the Ripper,
Wow.
love, deception. Like it has everything that's never been done before. And so that's how I know it's going to work. That's how I know because and then the last book I can honestly say is so good because she becomes evil. And I don't want to say that's good to be evil, but I mean, she becomes evil because because she gets bit by a vampire. I'm not going to say who because it'll ruin the whole plot twist. But in that last chapter or in that last book, she becomes evil, and then there's a twist at the end that will just like it will shock you. It'll make you, some parts will make you laugh, some parts will make you cry. But it's captivating and it's going to reach every type of audience because it has a little bit of everything. It has the action, the thriller, the paranormal, but it also has love and kindness and and scary stuff like Jack the Ripper coming and trying to get them. And, so it's just everything that's never been done before. So that's, like I said, that's how I know it'll work. So.
Wow. Does it all have the same name and just book 1, 2, 3, or do they have
Yes.
different names?
Yep. So it's the Divine, and then the Divine 2, Return of Jack the Ripper. And then the Divine 3, The Awakened. So it all ties in. So if you read chapter 3, you're going to have to come back or if you read book 3, you're going to have to come back and read book 1 and 2 because you'll understand who Shadow Man is and why the timing. Because I also have like where she has to slow down time with her mind to see things that have transpired. She goes back in time through different portals. So to try to capture Jack the Ripper, It's just so good. And I'm not just trying to toot my own horn. I mean, it really will captivate an audience because you'll feel every emotion that's in that book.
Yeah.
So
That really sounds very interesting and
yeah.
definitely like a story I think many of the people out there would
Mhm.
like to read.
Yeah.
You have a lot going on, so
Mhm.
you just you won an award for one of your books.
Yeah. So the Divine won, it won in my category for thriller and mystery and thriller.
So that was
And then
um, an award that you won at the International Impact Book Award. When did you win that?
that was in February that I won the first award.
Okay. Was your prize giving the Saturday or the Sunday?
So I didn't go to the July or the February gala. I actually went to the July gala.
I was going to say
And it was
because
it was just easier
I was going
to
to
go to
say
that
because
one.
I was there in February when I
Uh-huh.
won my award for my first book.
Uh-huh.
And I can't recall seeing you on my
Right.
day. So I thought
No,
maybe
no.
you were then on the Sunday, the second day. But I did meet you at Hollywood on the red
Yes.
carpet.
Wasn't it so much fun though?
Oh, that was so amazing. And so many beautiful dresses and um, all
It was the best. It was
it's
the
like,
best.
oh,
And like to be in that moment, I mean, it was Oscar for authors, the Oscars for authors. I mean, and my publishing company, Hemingway, he was like, "How does it feel to be an Oscar nominee?" And I was like, "Oh, you're just gonna blow my head up," but I love every minute of it.
oh, sweet.
So yeah,
I
yeah.
will
Hey.
I will show people a few of the photos that you have taken there as well.
Mhm.
You also have a trailer of your book. Which
Yes.
book, which book trailer is this?
So this is the last one. This is the Divine Three, the Awakened. And it gives part of the book without giving the entire book away. So, so when you watch it, you'll see how it'll captivate you and bring you and draw you into the actual what's going on. So,
Wow, it
yeah.
sounds interesting. Let's quickly show it to the people.
Okay.
Once there was peace, but peace was never meant to last. To bring back the one she loved, she crossed the veil of the living and summoned the void. But where darkness gathers, the divine awakens. She is both shadow and light, love and rage, divine and cursed. Now, she must choose, betray the light or become its fiercest protector. The Divine Book 3, The Awakened, A Battle of Love, Power and Destiny by Dawn Warmack, available now.
Wow, that was quite nice. Wow. Ah, wow. No, this sounds like a really nice book, and I definitely will say that people should go out and buy a book. Where are your books available?
So you can get them on Amazon. You can get them on Barnes and Noble. You even can get them on Walmart.com. So if you don't have access to Amazon or Barnes and Noble, you can get them there. And I have a few local bookstores you can get them at too. So yeah.
Wow, that's nice.
Mhm.
And also, you just shared something um, with us on Facebook, I think yesterday.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tell
So
me.
Power Magazine. Yes. Yes. So I was Power Magazine Woman of the Month for the October, and I got to do a a heading and talk about myself a little bit and explain who I am as an author. And who I am as a person, not just an author. But it was so much fun to do, and it's really about getting out there and again, my purpose is so much greater than just the book itself. And I'm sure when you talk to people on your channel, you find those things out when you talk to them, that their purpose is so much bigger than just a book. It's or what they're doing in life. It's most pretty much the ones I've seen you on here. They're trying to accomplish something or trying to do better for humanity, and that is what mine is. Even though it's a thriller and mystery, behind that, behind the authenticity of my book, is a passion that is very dear to my heart, and that is helping children and families that are going through such a hard time in their life, and at least bringing some kind of joy and happiness to them while they're going through this period in their life.
Yes. See, that is why I asked you earlier, what inspired you to write that
Yeah.
first book about the children, the
Mm.
little girl that was born without hair, the
Yeah.
princess. Um, are you having any other thoughts of new books that
Oh
you're
yeah, I've
working
already
on at
started
this
on one.
moment?
Yes, I have, and it's so good. I'm not gonna. Okay, so this one is a little more about. It's called. Well, I already have. I even have the cover for it, and I'm on chapter 2. But it's going to be called Mirror Reflection, and it is also going to be a thriller. And it's not about. This one is a little different, so it's going to be more about like ascended masters and ancient like aliens and things like that. But they are working with a chosen one from Earth to
Mm-hmm.
help like different universes come together. It's what's the word I'm thinking of? It's kind of like metaphysics, but it's going to be very intriguing, and I'm very excited to write it. So it's yeah.
Yeah, that does sound exciting. I also have a few in my inbox that I'm working on, and I actually just published my fifth book today.
All right, woohoo!
On
That's isn't it
on
exciting?
It is online, yes. Echoes of an Orphan's Heart,
Oh,
also
I love that.
based on a true story, and
Uh-huh.
such a deep
Nice.
story. It is so amazing to hear where all the authors' stories are coming from.
Yeah,
I have never in my life thought that I would speak to so many authors,
yeah.
but it's
And
mostly authors that are open to telling their stories.
yeah. And the hardest, I don't know if I could write a story like that. That is so like you become so vulnerable when people can write about themselves and their lives. And I mean, mine has a little bit to do with how much I love my grandmother. And in The Divine Two, Return of Jack the Ripper, that was written in a very dark period of my life. We just found out my dad had congestive heart failure. So her father, who she's trying to save in from Jack during this time, during that book, I put a lot of emotion into it because that was what I was dealing with. And so I was able to put that emotion into that character. So even though there are some people who can be completely honest about their stories, and I have to give them credit for that, because for me it's not so much easy. Like, I'm not that vulnerable, but putting it into characters is a little different because people don't know, except now I'm telling everybody. But that's, I mean, a lot of times that's how authors deal with things they're going through, maybe pain or happiness or joy. It doesn't always have to be bad,
Yes.
but it is what helped me through that time, in that period of my life. But it made for a heck of a story. So
Yes.
mhm.
Yes, me, I find it very difficult still to think about writing about something just out of my head, like just normal fiction. I have to have my baseline story. And for me, it's always writing about something that happened in my life and changing it into fiction. Now I have 3 non-fictional books, but now I'm going to start to write fiction
Yeah.
about all these stories. And now I'm also learning how to let characters just do what they want to do in a way,
And
because if you just let your mind go and run a little, sometimes you can just make up stories and let the story end the way you want it to end. That's what
yeah.
I like about fiction now.
And what helped me write my book again was things that I was dealing with in life. So the way that I see it, like I could not write a story that's like a biography of myself, or I'm not that, like I said, I'm not that vulnerable, but I can create a story with emotion into those characters because that's how I deal with it. So, maybe try, like, when you're writing your book, to put yourself, and that's what I do. And so it's a lot easier for me to do it when it's quiet. So a lot of times, like when I write, I will write when my son goes to sleep. That way I can just focus and, maybe have a fan on or a little bit of backgrounds, like, but not anything crazy, because I put myself into those characters. And like, just to kind of give another, like, a little bit about the book. So Jack's personality, Jack the Ripper, is a perfectionist, and he is very calculated and precise. And so I had to think in that mindset of Jack, and I had to think in the mindset of William, and in Cora and Henry and Shadow Man. And it was a lot of fun to write, but that's how I was able to do the characters, was to put myself as in, how do I want this character to be, which is a little more difficult with Jack because he was, vampire slash, turning people. So it was a little different, but it was fun. So
Johanna Vendel, award-winning author, certified medical massage therapist, motivational speaker, screenplay writer, songwriter, podcast host. Johanna Vendel is an International Christian Book Awards winner, 2025, and a 2-time International Impact Book Awards winner, celebrated for her inspirational storytelling, compassionate spirit, and ability to transform pain into purpose. With 29 years of professional experience as a certified medical massage therapist and esthetician, Johanna has devoted her life to healing, both physically and emotionally, guiding others through their deepest challenges toward wholeness and renewal. Her work as an author, healer, and speaker bridges the worlds of faith, resilience, and transformation through her best-selling memoirs, Life, Think Again, Unseen Tears, Beneath the Mask, 2025 International Christian Book Awards winner, Navigating Through Losses and Grief, Think Again, Echoes of an Orphan's Heart, and Plotting the Murder of Sabrina. Johanna invites readers to discover strength through vulnerability and hope through hardship. Each story she pens carries a message of perseverance, faith, and the unbreakable human spirit. Beyond writing, Johanna is also a motivational speaker who captivates audiences with her heartfelt talks on grief recovery, resilience, personal growth, and rediscovering faith through adversity. Her powerful message, drawn from real-life experience and unshakable faith, continues to inspire individuals, communities, and organizations around the world. As the creator and host of the popular podcast Give Me Hope with Johanna, she provides a safe space for stories of healing and transformation, sharing voices of authors, survivors, and dreamers who have turned their pain into power, offering ghostwriting, film and book trailer creation, and cinematic storytelling services to clients looking to bring their stories to life on screen or stage. Her unique ability to blend emotional authenticity with visual artistry has made her a sought-after creative consultant in both the literary and entertainment worlds. Her work has been celebrated internationally, including recognition at the Hollywood Author Awards, where she was honored as a finalist for Author of the Year 2025. Johanna is available for speaking engagements, podcast interviews, and special events where her message of faith, courage, and renewal continues to change lives. To book Johanna Vendel for events or collaborations, please get in touch with her via email at givemehopewithjohanna@gmail.com or through her official platforms at Give Me Hope with Johanna.
So, about the Power magazine, tell us, how do you get into something like that, if you want to?
Sure, sure. So I actually have a couple authors that are in this magazine as well.
Oh,
Debbie Whittam is in it. A couple other ones are in it. And basically, like, I was going through Facebook and this ad just happened to pop up about Women's Power magazine. So, and they do have a month where you can suggest like guys, and they will do like Power magazine for men, like Man of the Month or something like that. So you can do that if you were interested in that.
what will
Yeah.
you tell them to motivate them if they want to become an author?
So I wasn't sure like the process when I did it. I actually asked an aunt, how did you go about doing it? Because she was an author. And so you would find a publisher. First of all, the first thing you need to do is write your story. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about how it sounds. Make it personal to you, but write your story. Then when you get it wrote, that's when you'll reach out to a publishing company. And I have a really good one. If they want to go to it, they want to reach out to me or ask me. I don't, but I go through a really great publishing company that does everything for me. So, that's the next step. And then, I took it a little further and entered it into some contests. And I am so grateful that I did, because the International Impact Book Awards was, something that changed my entire life. And that's the honest truth.
Yes, I can definitely say that the International Impact Book Award has also changed my life for the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
And never would I have like even entered my book into a
Uh-huh.
competition.
Right.
I would not have thought of even thinking that I will become a finalist for Author of the Year, because
Right.
I'm not even English.
I
To,
know. And
I'm
isn't
always
it
so
wonderful?
scared
Like,
to
mhm.
write, and then people will realize that I am not English. And what other people have told me, especially reading my first book, they
Yeah.
said when they read my book, they can hear my voice because I
Yeah.
have an accent and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I use certain words which Americans sometimes don't use, and then they can hear my
Uh-huh.
voice through reading my words. That's so funny, actually, but um, it is
Like,
just your life does change
it
after you
does.
have won.
It's just like, and I always say use your power for the good. But that's what it's about for me. And there's so much opportunity. But it's like when you're done, now that I was a finalist, it's like, what are you going to do with that? I have a few things up my sleeve, but I don't want to tell everybody just yet. But I will as it comes along. But it's really up to you at that point to, now that you've went out to Hollywood and you've walked the red carpet and you've seen what's out there and you see the people that you can work with and get your name out there, and just the things, the level of like the people and almost pretty much like everybody I've met at the International Impact Book Awards was just amazingly good and kind and just very helpful with everything. And I found myself expanding, so to where, like, there's someone else that I'm working on, or someone else that I'm working with on a magazine, that I met her at the International Impact Book Awards. And so if you guys want any information on that, I could do that too. But she's a great person. And, I don't want to give too much information away, but as long as she's okay with that. But there's so many opportunities you can do when you get out. You just have to motivate yourself. And if you're self-motivated, you can do anything. You can make anything work for you.
Definitely, definitely. I'm also just from listening to everything that they said at the Oscars for authors,
Yeah.
that conference that we had that morning, and the documentaries that they're making, and
Hmm.
also saying that you can turn your book into a movie and things like
Yeah.
that, you know. If that did not inspire anybody who was there, I don't think they'll be inspired to do anything. It's like you never know if
Mhm.
your story might turn out to be a movie one day, and you will not know if you don't try.
Right.
Mm.
And that's the one thing, if I could tell anybody, it's like, don't be afraid, and give it, don't just give it like a 10% of yourself or 50%. If you're going to go all in, go all in. And that's my attitude with everything. Um, I will make it happen because I'm that determined to make it happen. And, and again, like, this is where my heart is at. My heart is in like helping children. My heart is in my books, my heart, and so when your heart is in it and you give it 1,000%, it's going to happen for you. It's just a matter of time of when it's going to happen for you, but it's going to happen for you. And I believe that firmly.
Yes, me too. Me too. I do believe in that. Um, in my language, you will say aanhouer wen. So if you if you keep on trying, eventually you will win
Yes. And you
because
might, I can't tell you, there's chapters that I've rewritten just because I didn't like the way it sounded. But when I did the work and I made it exactly how I wanted it to be, it flowed better, and it's exactly what I want to deliver to the world. So to me, it's like if you want to become something bad enough and you want it bad enough, you're going to do what it takes to get there. And I don't, like I said, I mean, I work full time. I have a son, and there were times when I was writing my books that after a long day of work, and I'm getting out at 5 o'clock, getting home by 6, and getting him around, getting him in bed, and I was still up 12 o'clock at night writing and editing and doing what I needed to do because I have that inner drive to get where I want to be. And that's what it takes. You can't listen to other people's opinions about what they think you're going to do or who you are. Only you know yourself.
yes,
And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you. It's what you believe of yourself and what you want to accomplish in this life. I mean, this is the life we get. So if you don't take full advantage of it, then you can't blame anybody but yourself, because you can do anything you set your mind to.
definitely, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Ah, there's a
Little
lot of
passion there.
positivity coming through this screen today. Let me tell
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, no, this is amazing. Always to hear about other people's stories and how they think and how they write and what motivates their positivity, you know. And yeah, this is a big world, you know. There are millions and millions and millions of people out there
Yeah.
that has a dream, but they don't go for it.
Right.
And
And I feel like the biggest thing is when they have that dream, they listen to other people and they don't follow it because they don't think they can,
but
you
you
know?
know, sometimes when you listen to
Hmm.
other people won't always tell you to go out and do it. They're gonna like,
Right.
yes, but you have to do this, and yes, but you
Hmm.
have to do that, and do you have this and do you have that? And by the end of the day, you're like, maybe I'm not good enough, you know.
Yeah. Or you know what? It's too much. I've got like I'm the first person to say, it is harder when you have a child and you're trying to write and you're trying to, go to events and things like that, because you have to look at every angle.
Mm.
And to me, it was like I want this bad enough for my son and myself. So I can't give myself excuses. I can't give him excuses. That's not who I am. And if someone who has a child can do it, anybody can do it, because they just have to set their mind to it and you have to want it bad enough.
Yes, that is definitely a good motivational speech right there.
Thank you.
Uh,
So,
Dawn, anything else that you would like to tell our viewers about your book or something that you left out that you would like people to know?
just I guess the biggest thing is just don't listen to other people when it comes to your dreams. Make them happen because you want it bad enough. And The Divine is a good book. Like I said, I mean, I'm not just saying that, but it's light versus dark, love versus hate. And at the end, there's such a powerful twist that'll teach our readers a good lesson about love and happiness and joy. And it's a powerful twist that I don't want to give it away, but it may make you cry. But it's just like I said, it's a wonderful series. And it was inspired by just like I said, my grandmother, who was the most influential person in my life and very full of love. And so yeah, it's a really good book.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Well, I will post all your links down below in the description. If
Okay.
anyone wants to buy your books, they can
Okay.
just click on the link below.
Mhm.
And yeah, thank you so much for coming to
You're
share your
welcome.
story.
Yeah.
And I hope that you sell a lot of books and
Thank you.
that you can continue with your dreams that you have, helping children, because I think that is very inspiring for me as well, just to hear that, that
Mhm.
one wants to do that.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, it's also going to be nice if people can reach out to you and say,
Yeah.
can we get your book instead
Mhm.
of you giving it for free, because it also costs
Mhm.
money to give
Yeah.
it away,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least if they can pay for the printing and get it in all the hospitals, why not? If it can
Yeah.
give a child out there a smile, and
And hope. And
yes,
that's what
and hope.
mm-hmm.
Yes, that is like, I think this is like the nicest thing that I've heard in a long time,
Wonderful.
of someone who wants to give hope that kind of way,
Yeah.
I give hope with this podcast
Mhm.
through Give Me Hope with Johanna. I try to give people hope
Yeah.
in hearing other people's stories, so that they can make the right choices in their lives, so that
Mhm.
they can maybe do what they want to do and have their dreams and dream big, because if you don't make it happen also,
Yeah.
then that dream doesn't realize.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing all of this. This is so amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you
Well, thank
so
you
much.
so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I have like told other people if they want to reach out to you as well.
Let
Um,
them reach out. 12 people. I'm going to hold you to that.
okay, I will. I will.
Uh, well, thank you very much for watching us today here on Give Me Hope with Johanna. And if you have a story to tell, please reach out, because there are people who would like to hear your story. I will be back next week with another amazing story, inspirational stories that will come to you every single week on a Wednesday, 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Time. It will be released. So please reach out, share these videos, subscribe to my channel because I am still new, and like, share, subscribe, and just be merry. Well, thank you so much for watching Give Me Hope with Johanna. I will be back next week. Goodbye.
This has been Give Me Hope with your host, Johanna Vendel. Join Johanna each week and harness the transformative power of storytelling to facilitate healing